Hello people, welcome back. Today I've got something special for you. I've got a legend, a legacy, a camera that just simply slaughters people. It's got no conscience. It's a loner. It's a murderer. It's the Blackmagic Production Camera 4K. This baby. Now when I say it's on its own, what I mean is that it's been disowned by its sibling and by its father, the predecessor, the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 2.5K. Now that 2.5K camera was revered for its filmic look, the 13 stops of dynamic range, and its teeny tiny Super 16 sensor that was a 2.3 crop. Now I can't deny it, it was a marvel, it still is, but it had its problems. I mean, every camera's got problems. There's no such thing as the perfect camera, is there? But there is such a thing called the perfect camera for you. Now its older brother, the Ursa Major, can do everything the production camera can do and then some. You know the way today we see WWF wrestlers that look like this? But back in the day, they looked like this. But that was yesterday. They were the Ursa Major. I don't even know if they build doorways big enough these days for them kind of people. Well, why did the cinema camera develop such a disdain for its sibling, the production camera 4K? Well, it was down to the 12 stops of dynamic range. But does it have 12 stops of dynamic range? Would it surprise you to know that it has 12 stops of dynamic range, but with careful color grading, can be made to look like 15 or 16. I won't bore you with the technicalities, but any camera that uses a 12-bit digital to analog converter can only have maximum 12 stops of dynamic range.
That's a bold claim, man. A bold claim. I want to see receipts.
Well, I won't spoil the surprise. Do a Google search and see how many cameras use 12-bit digital to analog conversion.
Receipts.
Okay, so I left some receipts in the description to a very informative rabbit hole for you to watch, if you want to know the truth, that is. But marketing is marketing, right? You believe what you want to believe and you use what you want to use. It's okay, because dynamic range, anyway, pales in significance next to content and storyline. Now, another reason why the 2.5K had such disdain for the 4K production camera was because of its legendary highlight roll-off, the color science, and the ability to use micro four thirds lenses, ergo giving it a much wider selection of lenses for you to use. And the 2.5K was more than enough to downscale to get a crisp, lovely, rich 1080p that was king at the time. So the production camera 4K, the files were absolutely massive, and to add insult to injury, it forced it inside of view raw.
Oh, come on, man.
Users were going mad. They just simply couldn't handle it. It was guaranteed to cause breakdowns, or at best, severe limping. It took the best of the best, the most experienced and the highest class to actually handle the girth.
We're talking about cameras, right?
What else? But that was yesterday. It's 2026 and the world has gone crazy and we've flipped upside down on its head. Everybody can handle a girth now. Every system is experienced. There are now even tools and methods to make you take it even easier. Hell, you can even take it by proxy.
1,000 by proxy?
No! Back when this camera came out, 4K was the revered standard. 4K TVs were not a thing and definitely not common, kind of like 8K TVs today. And like I said, people were limping. So let's forward till today, where it really matters. What have we got? We got 4K and a little bit more and a pristine scaled down internally 1080p if you want it. We have RAW and ProRes. We got frame rates from 23.976 all the way to the mighty 30 frames per second. We got a global shutter. We got 12 stops of dynamic range, an SDI output, 2 1/4-inch audio inputs, a robust DC input, and some legacy connections that... Okay, so we've had a quick look at it up and down. We like what we saw, so let's undress her to see what she's got.
Cameras. We talking about cameras.
4K. the now standard resolution for the present. There's a whole argument out there whether 4K is really necessary. What is 4K? It's a huge rabbit hole that we're not going to go into today. Okay, so a person to really appreciate and notice the difference between 4K and the pristine 1080p, the TV would have to be, for example, a 55-inch TV. You would have to be... These rabbit holes must be lubricated, because I just almost fell down another one.
Lubrication?
Yeah, slippy. So I left a link in the description to an amazing video about 4K, the human eyesight, the realities of 4K content, yada yada yada. Link in the description. So the production camera 4K has 4K and it's all you need. If you need more, then you're not filming correctly, you're not using your grip correctly, you're being sloppy. But fortunately for you, the production camera 4K has got you. This camera will teach you how to film. But I'm not talking about that PC, snowflake, modern method of teaching oversensitive students. I'm talking about the good old-fashioned, genuine, back in the day teaching where if you got it wrong, you'd know about it. Oh, you'd know about it. You'll reap the consequences. So that in turn will drive the lessons home forcefully, deep, holding you down and forcing you to absorb that information so you don't forget.
I don't need that, man. I don't need that.
I said anyway earlier, 4K is enough. Did you know that 4K streams, most of them are not even 4K? Link in the description. Codecs. We've got the time-tested king of all intermediate, proxies and delivery codecs, ProRes. In all its flavors, ProRes Proxy, ProRes LT, ProRes 422 and ProRes 422HQ. Okay, so we haven't got Quad 4 or Quad 4XQ, but you don't need that anyway. The data rate is compatible to RAW without the RAW benefits. So if you want to use it for ease of playback, just use Proxy or LT. And of course, we have the obligatory 10-bit color management within those codecs. ProRes is also used for the 1080p capture in this camera as well, so you have the benefits of a really robust, visually lossless codec combined with 10-bit color and the extra sharpness and color enhancements from a downscaled 4K. Most mirrorless cameras today aren't even shooting in this professional codec.
Why?
Because they're not professional digital film cameras. And we've also got RAW in the most dangerous, powerful, most Genghis Khan of all the flavors of RAW, DNG RAW. Yep, no B-RAW, no ProRes RAW, frame by frame images in all its girthy goodness. Now the great thing is that time's moved on. GPUs and CPUs have come on in leaps and bounds. The world has gone crazy. People respect their bosses more than they respect their partners. Cats and dogs are living together. And Tom Cruise is old. But the point is, everybody can handle a girth these days.
Oh, God.
So what makes a video file more superior than another video file? Data rate. Yes, there is compression, but did you notice I said a very despicable word there? Compression. Yep, some compressions are better, more compressed, more complex, less complex than other ones, but needless to say, they are all compression. However you want to look at it, this makes the file smaller by effectively throwing away information, data, to make the files smaller and more manageable. Now, there are different magnitudes and levels to this data disposal, but they all discard data nevertheless. But what if you can have all the data without compression? DNG RAW. Yeah, it's going to be more taxing and dangerous to get it raw. And you're going to be limited to how much you can manipulate and edit the image and have it play back smoothly. But that was yesterday. Today, you can have proxy generation available at just a click of a button. We've got timeline resolution drop, CPU and GPU technologies have come on in leaps and bounds, making GPUs and CPUs from 10 years ago look like a cow compared to a whale. But the bottom line is, a cinema camera is supposed to give you the best visual quality available. RAW and DNG RAW is the best quality you're ever going to get. Now, it doesn't matter how girthy it is, it doesn't matter how heavy it is, it doesn't matter even if you don't have the space to really accommodate it. Just learn how to take it and enjoy it. Come on, you're in a film business now. Frame rates. Okay, so we have 23.976 through cinematic 24, 25 and 30 frames per second. So it's hardly groundbreaking and no slow motion. But that was yesterday. With DaVinci Resolve's AI warp and optical flow, you can have 60 frames per second, you can have 80 frames per second, you can have 90 frames per second slow motion and convincing. Oh, you don't believe me? Check this out. Global shutter. We have the creme de la creme of sensor design. No jello artifacts when you move the camera fast, when you pan, when you perform handheld shots. So the information is read off the whole sensor in one go. Bang, bang, bang. None of this line for line stuff, so that's why you don't get any artifacts or anything a bit weird when you move the camera fast, which means when you're in a venue where someone takes a picture and there's a flash, the torn pages, the torn screen, the torn flash, thing of the past, not with the global shutter. And an amazing benefit is no more switching to a lower resolution to make the sensor crop in smaller so you can get a faster readout just because you want to do a whip pan. Thing of the past. Now, it's a Super 35 sensor, well, a little teeny tiny bit smaller than a Super 35 sensor, but not really. You see, the crop is 1.7 if you record in ProRes and 1.6 if you record in RAW. This is due to the extra pixel width in the RAW format, as in 4000 by 2160 as opposed to 3840 by 2160 in ProRes. So at Super 35, you're able to get an absolutely gorgeous, shallow depth of field. I mean, you put a 50mm with a 1.8 toner on it, oh my God, blade heaven. Even a 28mm lens with a toner 2.8 is absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. Check this one. But if you want more depth of field and less crop, you can't have it on this camera because it's an EF mount. But that was yesterday. Of course you can have it. Whatever you want, you can have. Get in touch with Luke Adapters and get their magic booster and effectively change the crop from 1.6 to 1.2. That's full frame.
1.2 crop ain't full
Just simply
frame.
take one step back from the subject. One step, and it's a 1.0.
Yeah, I see what you
Yeah.
did there.
SSDs. We have an ingenious method of data storage. You know those regular everyday SSDs that you use in your laptop and your computer, the 2.5-inch ones? Yep, you know those ones that come for £1 a penny? You can use those. And with the latest firmware update, well, when I say the latest firmware update, the last firmware update, which was about, what, 10 years ago? It expanded the compatibility of SSDs. So there's a whole host of SSDs that you can buy as cheap as chips on eBay and Amazon that go into the camera. 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, 500 gig. You know what I even did as an experiment? I got a hard disk drive, you know, a mechanical one, 2.5 inch, and I used that. But if you're gonna use that, I would definitely 100% keep it to maximum ProRes 422 because of the speed. So SSDs, accessible with the port flap on the side, it just fits in nice and smooth, no lubrication, no forcing, no jiggling needed, and it just slips out again. Put it right into your computer and you can edit on these. And you know what's even good about that? You can edit on the SSD, and when you finish the movie, take the SSD and put it directly into storage and buy another one. Why? Because they're buttons. Dynamic range. Okay. We got 12 stops of dynamic range. Yeah, there's a whole slew of cameras that say 13 stops, 14 stops, 15 stops, 16 stops, and it goes on and it goes on. But most of them don't shoot RAW, so you're not able to extract clean stops from the noisy part of the image. And like I said earlier, any camera that uses a 12-bit digital to analog converter can only hold 12 stops of dynamic range. Now, what differs in a dynamic range is color fidelity and where the dynamic range is allocated in regards to shadows, midtones, and highlights. But yeah, there are cameras out there that truly shoot 15, 16, 17 plus stops of dynamic range. But one, at these levels, you're getting some serious diminished returns. You're gonna pay double for the price of camera A to get camera B just because of the one dynamic range increase. And then you're gonna pay 3 times of camera B to get camera C to get an additional 1 stop of dynamic range. So you do the math. Now, most films are played on Rec 709 or cinema screens. Most cinema screens can display approximately 7 to 8 stops of dynamic range. This camera's got 12, so you've got to get that 12 and squeeze it into a 7 box. So if you've got a camera that shoots 15, 16 plus stops of dynamic range, then you've got more controls and you can correct any mistakes that you might have made in acquisition. But here's the good bit. This is a professional film production camera. It's designed to be used in environments where you have full and complete control of the light. You light the shadows to a level that's accepted by the camera. You set the highlights so they don't clip. You have to pay meticulous attention to lighting. And if you know cinematography at all, you'll understand that lighting is everything. Lighting is what takes a novice to a professional. If you can nail your lighting, then you're gonna film like a boss. Then when you've mastered that, imagine what you could then do with a camera that shoots 15, 16 plus stops of dynamic range. So bear in mind that the world is contaminated with folk that have cameras that shoot 15 shots of dynamic range, and all they do is expose a scene, point the camera at it, record it, and then in post, they'll then jiggle it and fix it around because they've got them extra stops to be able to do that, to get it to where they want it. But if you hear the expression fix it in post, get it right in camera. So let's get back to what we were talking about anyway. 12 stops of dynamic range is enough. If films like District 9, The Social Network, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Knowing, Nicolas Cage, if you would call these films top films, iconic even, then would it surprise you to know that each and every one of those films was acquired with a camera with 12 stops of dynamic range? So if it's good enough for Jeff Cronenweth, if it's good enough for David Fincher, if it's good enough for Roger Deakins, then it's good enough for you. And like Roger Deakins said, it's not about the stops of dynamic range, it's about the talent behind the camera. So yeah, 12 stops of dynamic range. When this camera came out, that was pretty groundbreaking. Nowadays you've got 16, so 12 is kind of on the low end, isn't it? But that was yesterday. Resolve and color grading has came on in leaps and bounds with HDR tools, film emulation plugins, and out of this world techniques for qualifications. You can take a camera with 12 stops of dynamic range and make it look like it shot 15. You just need a good colorist, or subscribe to this channel and learn how to do it yourself. SDI. This camera is equipped with the professional, essential SDI Connection. Amazing. Now this can be used to output a stream of 4K 60p to a monitor, a screen for your director or your cinematographer. But better still, and more importantly, it can be used to output to an onboard external camera. Yeah, you've got a 5-inch monitor on the back. It's beautiful. It's touchscreen. It has histogram, audio, meters, and an absolutely amazing focus peaking, and a menu that makes camera manufacturers today envious. Absolutely amazing. Until you take it outside, at which point it magically transforms the aforementioned beautiful monitor into the most beautiful, the most shiniest, the most flattering mirror the world has ever seen. And I really mean mirror. You can see nothing if the sun is hanging about. Now, the only thing that screen is good for if the sun is shining is to check if you've got a booger hanging out your nose. And that's it. In the shade, sweet. But if there's any sun whatsoever, forget about it. You're done. You need to have a monitor. So this SDI port is invaluable. It's better quality than HDMI, not finicky, it's not gonna get caught, it's not gonna get bumped, it's not gonna break. It's got the locking connector of standard SDI. It's robust. It can be output to a ridiculous distance. It's professional and it's a godsend. 2 1/4-inch audio inputs. Now, yeah, okay, these are not professional for this side of the industry, but they are a professional audio connection, and they're about 100 times easier to come by than XLR, and the sound quality is exactly the same. I mean, honestly, I really do not know why people just cry and moan about this connection. It's like people have got to find something, anything to complain about it. You've got it, it's good, it's available, it's readily available. Roll with it. What's the problem? It's like, oh really, it's just, sometimes people just want to complain. If you want to complain about something, then complain about the absolutely abysmal built-in microphone. I mean, what the hell were they thinking? Yeah, I know timecode is pretty much becoming a thing of the past for indie filmmakers, which is who this camera is really best suited for in 2026, even though its image is indistinguishable from top-class cinema cameras nowadays. But come on, man. What were you thinking with that microphone? What were you thinking? So you have to mic it up. Now you're going to have to record with your fingers crossed, even if the subject is shouting, to try and sync that in post to an external sound. It's barely good enough for scratch. So 100%, you're going to need to mic this baby up. And that's better, but not that much better. Honest to God. The internal preamps on this camera are just, they're dirty. You are not gonna get professional sound out of this camera. But that was yesterday. You know what I did? I got a Saramonic preamp and I went into the camera and I took the record level all the way down to about 1. Then on the Saramonic preamp, I clocked it right the way up. God damn, fire tonight. Whoa. This camera is seriously gearing up to be 2026's best kept secret. I'm telling you, the sound was immense.
You have no idea of the horrors I can visit upon you and your...
I'm telling you, this camera's a murderer. This camera is a murderer. Battery and power. Okay, so they dropped the ball here, or did they? You see, the camera's got an internal, non-removable rechargeable battery. It's 3,000 milliamp hours, so it gave you a runtime of about 30 to 40 minutes. And you might get a little bit more if you're turning the camera off in between shoots. And the great thing about this camera is it takes literally minus 10 seconds to switch on. It's that fast. I mean, seriously, if the camera's off and you go to switch it on, it's on already. That's how quick it boots up. Amazing. But as the camera's 15 years old and the battery's non-removable, that battery ain't taking the charge no more. I mean, literally, you can turn it on, it might come on and go off straight away. There's no battery power you can't recharge it anymore. So you're stuck to keeping the camera wall powered, which isn't going to be good for handheld and gimbal stuff. But that was yesterday. Today, you've got 2 options and a million options.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Option 1, yes, it's a non-removable battery and internal. But if you take the camera apart, you can actually access the battery and take it out. It's only plugged in with a simple plastic plug. Now, because it's 2026 and technology and all, you can buy yourself another battery of the same size, only because technology's gone on a little bit. You're going to get about 500 milliamp hours extra, so you can get a 3,500 milliamp hour battery, and that will last you for 45 minutes to an hour if you're switching it on and off in between shoots. Amazing. And that battery, cheap as chips. Option 2. The million option. You can utilize the robust universal DC input, and this can link to a myriad of power supplies.
So still 2 options, internal and external.
V-mount batteries and...
Idiot.
Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, so BPUs, MPFs, V-mounts, gold mounts. You literally have a million options via plates and mounts and the universal DC input. Now, I use a 200 watt hour V-mount on the back of mine, and it powers the camera itself. Ordinarily, I've got a Shogun Inferno 7, which is massively power hungry. It powers that too. It powers the plate that it's on, and it powers the HDMI SD conversion as well. And I've had it on 7 hour shoots, and I gotta say, up till now, I haven't run out of power yet. Having a V-mount battery on the back is another reason why you need to have an external monitor or an external monitor recorder like me, because that mount typically blocks the 5-inch screen on the back of the camera. I mean, you could probably mount it somewhere else, but we're all vain show-offs, aren't we, as filmmakers? We want our rigs to look sick, so we mount it on the back and use it as an excuse to build up the rig with an external monitor. Headphones, the standard, ordinary, everyday 3.5mm headphones that everybody's got access to. Color science. Okay, so the camera records in Blackmagic Film Generation 1, in RAW and in ProRes, as standard. But if you shoot in RAW, in DaVinci Resolve, you have the option to debay the footage into Generation 4, then you can put it through whatever processes you like to turn it into Generation 5. But you know something? There's a growing opinion that Film Gen 1 from Blackmagic was the best that there ever was. Film Gen 1 is obviously the one that was in the original Pocket and the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 2.5K and the Ursa Major. I mean, that's not to say that Generation 5 is bad. It's not. It's amazing. Some say the best color science on the market at the moment because it's Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve. But Generation 5 just jumps off the screen and says modern camera for all purposes. But Generation 1 has got the superior skin tones. Generation 1 is the color science where off the bat, straight out of the box, it just screams film, cinema, movie. Generation 1 had a certain look to it where experts with a keen eye were able to simply look and detect it.
But that was yesterday.
But that was yesterday. Nice.
No problem, boss. You're so damn cool.
With grading tools that you have today, you're able to wrestle, attack, shift, or whatever verb you want to attribute to address the contrast tendencies of the footage, if you want to. But me for one, there's just something about Mary. I mean, there's just something about this footage that again screams film, movie, cinema, Hollywood. And you know something else? And I don't know if it's just me, maybe you can write down in the comments and let me know whether you feel the same, but there's something about the footage that just lends itself to dark productions, horror, psychological thrillers, films about beatings, just something dark, you know? But it doesn't have to be. If you want to make something uplifting, just set up the lights, light accordingly, point the camera at it, slap the camera on the side of the head just to snap it out of that dark funk that it's in, and hit record, and Bob's your uncle. Low light. This is not a camera that you can take into uncertain situations. It has to be king. It has to be catered to. It must be appeased. It needs light. If you don't have sufficient lighting gear for this camera's needs, then just go home. Go home, because you're going to get resolution that'll give 480p a run for its money. You're going to get fixed pattern noise that is impossible to take out in post. Not that you'd have any business whatsoever bringing that kind of footage to post-production. Or it'll be you that needs a good dig and a slap upside the head to get you out of that dark funk. Seriously, if somebody brought this kind of footage to me in post from this camera at low light and underexposed, I'll assault them with both indiscriminate and well-placed midsection body blows.
Man, I would never in my life bring that camera footage to you. It has to be pristine. Pristine!
Controlled environments only. Gimbals. Woo! Well, she thick. She thick. But you'll be pleased to know that it fits neatly, perfectly, and sufficiently on gimbals. It fits on the Xeon Crane 3 Lab. It fits on the Moza Air 2. Obviously, if it fits on a Lab, it fits on the 3S and a lot of the Ronins too. Any gimbal that's geared to take heavy DSLRs, you're good. So if you couple the gimbal ability with the global sensor, oh, you're flying a champion. You've got gorgeous, smooth footage, no artifacts. Even when you put it in sport mode and you've got to change the gimbal and follow something, you're not going to get those artifacts, those squishes because of the global sensor. You can couple that with the EF mountable stabilized lens and woo! Champion. So look, that's all I'm going to say about this camera. It's immense. At the time of its production when it came out, it did have to tackle quite a few issues and quite a few problems and stuff like that. But as time's moved on, if you're good enough with 4K, which you really should be, there's no need for you to shoot anymore. Like I said, if you're shooting 8K, 12K, I know the Blackmagics have got 12 and 17s and everything else, but if you're shooting that kind of footage just so you can reframe later on in post, then you're shooting wrong. Go back to the drawing board, go back to school and learn how to shoot properly. And this camera is going to teach you how to do that. So if you forward the time to 2026, with this footage that you get now, with the access to all the grading modifications and enhancement that we've got these days, oh my God, the footage from this camera is king. The sharpness of it is amazing, but it's not too sharp, it's not video sharp. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And you know what's really gorgeous as well? This is an unbeatable team. The Ursa Major, the big one, you know, the one with the 10-inch screen on the side, that camera is a boss. You'd get 120 frames per second in 4K slow motion. You've got the 10-inch screen. It's heavy. Oh, it's just absolutely gorgeous camera. It's got everything built into it. Amazing preamps. It's got all the audio exposure stuff as well. Oh, it's brilliant. If you could get an Ursa Major 4K, keep it on stilts, and you get yourself a production camera 4K, keep it on the gimbal, keep it on the slider, do your handheld with that. That is a winning combination that is hard to beat. I don't care what anybody says. That is hard to beat. That is a starstruck winning combination that is hard to beat. And the prices, I picked up my production 4K camera for £400, and I've seen Ursa Majors going for £1,000. If you get them kind of cameras with that kind of money, and you get set up with that making films with the combinations I've just explained, that's a winning combination. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you next time.